As soon as he said that, I kid you not, I smiled because I knew exactly what he was talking about. And I'm all here for it because I like petty Nick Saban. Because when Nick Saban's petty and he remembers small stuff like that here and there, that's when he's at his best. With the playoffs going on and the main focal point being on TCU, Michigan, Ohio State, and Georgia, what Nick Saban said and what he did after the Kansas State game, it went under the radar. I will say this much. It is very nice to see that your boy Nick Saban, he's not too old to forget his old ways. He's still got that pettiness to him. And I'm not even going to label this as he was throwing some shade and some shots at these Alabama players. He just straight up called them out. And to tell you the truth, I don't just like this. I love it. In the modern era, the modern day of college football with kids, they can just leave within the blink of an eye when something doesn't go their way. Yeah, I'm all for these head coaches and whoever calling them out. Don't get it twisted. Like I've told you guys before, I like the transfer portal because you're going to see great stories come out of it like Joe Burrow. You're going to see circumstances where a Jalen Hurts, who is a great quarterback, he's just not going to start at Alabama so he can go somewhere else like Oklahoma and be a star. However, though, like I've also told you at the same time, those are rare stories. That's only going to happen maybe 2% of the time. A lot of the times, and I bet a lot of you don't even know this, 35%, I'm not making up this number, it is a fact, 35% of the players that enter the portal, they don't get offers from other schools. Because you got to remember, it's not just 4- and 5-star recruits entering the portal. It's a bunch of no-name guys, 1- and 2-stars. I'll leave it at this. We got some stuff to talk about. And just like Nick Saban, I feel passionate about this topic. The reason I'm passionate about it is because, like Nick Saban said, there's a problem with this. We ain't doing no intro, none of that. All right, Matt, blah, 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 shut the crap up. Now, without further ado, let's get into it. Jumping straight into it, about 2 days ago before the game, here's what Nick Saban had to say word for word, quote unquote. I don't know if it's a good thing for players not to have to stay committed to their team for the entire season. Whoa. Hold on. Some of you may be sitting there going, yo, Matt, well, what's he talking about? Give me some context, and I'll do just that. What he was referring to, talking about in that quote, is how all these Alabama players out of nowhere, they enter the portal and they didn't even finish the season. Not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6, not 7, not 8, not 9, but 10 plus. Count them. 10 Alabama players entered the portal and decided not to play in the game. You know why this was concerning and alarming to me? Because Nick Saban gave all of them a chance to play in the game. I'm going to say that one more time. Nick Saban said, hey, it's okay that you want to transfer, but you can still play in this game, and they all declined. Not a single one of them decided to play. Before we go any farther, I want to speak on that. What have I told you guys for the longest? If a guy's projected to be a first-round pick, second, or even a third, or even a fourth rounder, you're projected to go to the NFL, I am 100% fine with you sitting out a meaningless bowl game, or even if it's a playoff game. I don't care because I get it, because it is nothing more than a business decision. It's not you being selfish that you want to sit on a bowl game because you're trying to look out for you and your family. I get it, and I advocate for it. I bring it up all the time. It's such a great example. I told you Matt Corral should not have played in that bowl game last year because if he gets hurt, he's going to lose $2-3 million, and that's exactly what happened. A lot of people gave me backlash for it, but here's the thing about that. I bet none of those people that gave me backlash for it can even remember the score of the game. That's my point. Yeah, are you going to get bashed for a week, maybe by the media for not playing in a game and helping out your teammates? Yes, but in the long run, it's a smart decision. That is only, and I mean only, and I only feel this way if you're projected and you're going to the NFL. I feel completely different about this if you're just transferring to another college. Because at that point, you decided not to play in the bowl game where a coach said you could play. It's not a business decision. This is a personal decision and a selfish one. I want you to think about this. Nick Saban brought all these players into his office one by one, not a couple of them, but 10 of them, and said, hey, you can still play in the game. We would love to have you part of the team. And they all declined. Think about that. I'm going to ask you a question. Please let me know in the comment section. Do you think those 10 players love the game of football? I'm not going to say they don't, because I'm sure they really like it and they do love it at times. But I do question it, because as an athlete myself, anytime I could go out there and play the game I love, I'm going to do it. Whenever I was playing sports, and let me make this clear, there was no money attached to it whatsoever. I love the game. I'd die for it. I'm not going to run through my high school glory days, but I can't even tell you the times where I was 60% healthy. Sometimes I was 50%, and my trainers told me I shouldn't play, and they was telling the head coach, hey, he probably shouldn't play, and I still did. It's because I love the game, not only for me, but my teammates. I know they want me out there, and I want to be out there with them. And I get it. I'm built different. I'm one of the most competitive people you'll ever meet, and I'm sure a lot of you watching this, you're the same way. But for me, myself, I couldn't sleep at night knowing that I had a chance of playing, even if I was only 50, 60%, and my teammates went out there and they battled, and they could have used me, but I didn't play. There's no way I could have slept at night. Not a single chance in the world. I had a terrible season-ending injury one year, and it drove me crazy watching the games. I hated it. I hated it just for the fact I couldn't go out there and help my brothers. So, with that being said, I said all that to say this. I don't understand how these Alabama players just could go watch their team play against K-State and not feel guilty about it, not playing. Oh, wait a minute. That's right. The problem is, they probably didn't care too much about their teammates. Hey, I'm just calling it how it is. Does that mean that Trayshawn Holden, who transferred to Oregon, and Kyrie Jackson, who also transferred to Oregon, they're terrible people? No, absolutely not. This isn't a personal shot against them. I'm wishing them the best of luck, but it's more so telling you how tight-knit this Alabama team was this year. It wasn't tight-knit. It kind of felt like at times guys were playing for themselves. And that's why, for the most part, this Alabama team struggled and was embarrassing this season at times. Fast forward in time, though, Alabama, they play Kansas State, dominates them. Looks like the Alabama team we expected to see all throughout this season. Now, let me ask you another question, and I asked myself this during the game. Do you really think it was a coincidence that Alabama played like a tight-knit group and like a real team when these 10 guys left? I'm curious, maybe you don't think it's a coincidence, but I couldn't help but think about it. Hey, it's kind of weird that Alabama looks really good when all these guys leave. Kind of seems like and feels like to me, the bad weeds, they were getting pulled out of the garden. And if you play sports, you know this. All it takes is for one bad attitude in the locker room to ruin everything. All it takes is for one hole in the ship to sink it. I'm not here to talk about the Alabama-Kansas State game. If you saw it, you saw it. There's nothing to talk about. Alabama dominated from pretty much start to finish after that 10-0 run by K-State. Here's what I am here to talk about. After the game, I watched the Saban interview, and I peeped this, and I was wondering if anybody else peeped it as well. After the game, he said, I think the guys who are here today, the team who's here today, is a great representation of the University of Alabama. As soon as he said that, I kid you not, I smiled because I knew exactly what he was talking about. There's a reason he said, I think the guys who are here today and the team who's here today. There's a reason he said that, because he's calling out those 10 players that left. And I'm all here for it because I like petty Nick Saban, because when Nick Saban's petty and he remembers small stuff like that here and there, that's when he's at his best. And that's how I also know he's not going anywhere anytime soon. A characteristic trait that most successful people have is, yeah, they hold grudges. Michael Jordan, if you haven't seen the Last Dance documentary, go watch it. Kobe Bryant, same thing. Tiger Woods, same thing. Tom Brady, all of these guys, I'm sure there's somebody you look up to that is great. The greatest of all time, they hold grudges. And one of the craziest stories I've ever heard is one time Michael Jordan just made up a lie about a player saying something to him, and he never did, just to motivate himself. The greats in this life, in business, in sports, or head coaches, athletes, whoever, they make up scenarios that can motivate themselves. And you better believe this, Nick Saban, even though it's kids leaving to go to another school, who cares? He's going to use this to his advantage. I know how people like this operate because I operate the same way. People like that are wired differently. And just like this comment says, or two comments, oh, there is no doubt he is happy the guys that left didn't get to experience this and very much sending a message. Under that, he offered for them to play. They declined all 10 in the portal. He made sure they were called out. Interesting to say the least. And last but not least, here's what Nick Saban said. And you guys know I don't like to read long quotes, but this one, it's worth it. This was about Bryce Young and Will Anderson. Saban stated, I think these guys send a message to everybody that you create value for yourself by playing football. You don't create value for yourself by opting out and getting ready for the draft. What are you getting ready for? The combine? Half the stuff you do at the combine isn't relative to football. But when you play good against good competition and you play well, that creates value. And I think it speaks volumes of your character when you choose to be a part of your team and you can be counted on to be a part of your team regardless of the circumstances, and you finish the season with your team. I agree with that 10,000%. I just can't wrap my mind around guys that are transferring, not getting ready for the draft. They're transferring to go to another college that simply didn't want to play with their brothers one more time. Seems like to me, at least, they're just out for themselves and they didn't care about this Alabama team that they were a part of. I'm very curious, Bama fans. Let me know how you feel down below. Even if you're not a Bama fan, let me know what you think. But